Everyone is talking about Iran. Everyone is talking about Israel. Everyone is talking about Ayatollah Khamenei. But I think the real story is somewhere else. Something bigger is happening in the background. Let me show you two events. At first glance, they look completely unrelated. Different countries, different continents, different conflicts. But there is one connection almost nobody is talking about. Let's start with the first event. The United States carried out an operation in Venezuela. President Nicolas Maduro was removed from power. Some people celebrated and said a dictator was gone. Others argued the move violated international law. But very few people asked one simple question. Who was Venezuela's biggest oil customer? China. For years, Venezuela was sending hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil every day directly to China. When the political situation changed, that energy flow was suddenly disrupted. Now look at the second event. The conflict involving Iran and Israel exploded into global headlines. Some people said it was necessary to stop a nuclear threat. Others said it was a dangerous escalation. But again, almost nobody asked the same question. Who was Iran's biggest oil customer? China. Iran had been exporting massive amounts of oil to China every single day. Now take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Two different countries, two different conflicts, two different reasons, but the same customer, China. Is that just coincidence? Some analysts believe it isn't. Investor and historian Ray Dalio has a theory about global power shifts. His argument is simple. When a rising power starts getting close to the dominant power, conflict becomes much more likely. History shows this pattern again and again. When Germany began catching up with Britain economically, the world eventually fell into World War I. When Japan rose rapidly in the Pacific and challenged American influence, it led to World War II. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union emerged as a rival to the United States. Today, many analysts believe China could be the next rising power in that historical pattern. China currently produces around 28% of the world's manufacturing output. No country in modern history has expanded industrial capacity that quickly. Some forecasts suggest that within the next decade, China could become the world's largest economy. For the United States, that possibility represents a huge strategic challenge. But China has one critical weakness: energy. China imports the majority of the oil it consumes. Its massive industrial machine depends heavily on energy coming from outside its borders. Think about it like a giant engine, an engine powerful enough to drive a huge portion of the global economy. But that engine doesn't produce its own fuel. It relies on pipelines and supply routes from other countries. Venezuela, Iran, Russia, Saudi Arabia. These countries have been some of the major energy suppliers feeding China's economic growth. Now imagine what happens if those supply lines become unstable. Sanctions, conflicts, political crises. Suddenly the fuel lines become uncertain, and energy security becomes a geopolitical battlefield. But energy is only one part of the story. China has also been building something enormous over the last decade: a global trade network known as the Belt and Road Initiative, a modern version of the ancient Silk Road, railways connecting Asia to Europe, massive ports, highways, energy corridors, trillions of dollars in infrastructure. The goal is simple: connect China directly to the markets of Europe. Because whoever dominates trade between Asia and Europe shapes a huge portion of the global economy. And in recent years, Europe's economic ties with China have been growing. Germany trades heavily with China. France has expanded economic cooperation. Several European countries have joined infrastructure projects linked to the new Silk Road. But geopolitics never stays simple. Conflicts in key regions can disrupt these routes. One of those key regions is the Middle East. Iran sits at a critical geographic crossroads connecting Asia to the Middle East and beyond. Instability in that region affects major trade and energy corridors. And then there is another flashpoint that could shape the future of the global economy: Taiwan. Taiwan produces the majority of the world's most advanced semiconductor chips. These chips power smartphones, cars, data centers, satellites, and modern weapons systems. In many ways, semiconductors are the oil of the digital age. Whoever controls the most advanced chips controls the backbone of modern technology. The United States says it will support Taiwan. China says Taiwan is part of its territory. And neither side wants to appear weak. That's why many analysts believe the tension around Taiwan could become one of the defining geopolitical issues of the 21st century. Right now, the world is entering a new era of great power competition. Energy, technology, trade routes, military alliances. All of these are pieces of the same global chessboard. Some people see separate conflicts happening around the world. Others believe they are all connected to a much larger strategic rivalry. And at the center of that rivalry is one question. Who will shape the global order of the 21st century?